talking about these kind of relationships, the landlord might be like, the plumber's trying to rip me off. The plumber might be like, the agent owes me 50 grand. Like I physically can't do any work for any more of their landlords because they're not paying me. You know, the agent might think the plumber's having me over on the price. And there's all these kind of things going on under the hood, but no one ever really talks about it because you're all in your own patch and no one kind of really talks to anyone about what's going on. How many times does a contractor sit in front of a landlord and say, well, this is exactly how it is with me, and vice versa? It doesn't happen very often.
No.
Which is why I'm doing this, because I'm getting some amazing feedback.
There's a mismatch in sales, yeah, that if you've got your customer and you've got the salesperson and they're not on the same wavelength, there's a complete crossing and they're never going to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sale doesn't get done. Look at it from that point of view. So there's a mismatch. So I want to sell something like a car, but I don't want a Ford, I want a BMW. How's a Ford salesman, Ford garage, going to sell somebody who really wants a BMW? It is that's where the mismatch is. They both have different agendas.
Yeah, everyone has a different agenda.
They both have.
That's right.
Yeah, and if you look at it coldly, that contractor wants to earn as much money as he can, and the landlord wants to pay as little as he can get away with.
What about the one in the middle? What about the agent in the middle? Where are they?
Oh, they've got to take their cut out if they get involved.
But they're doing all of the running around as well.
Yeah, no, oh, got that.
Yeah. So I'm because like.
But nobody values that time. Very few people value people's time. Okay, they think you can go rock up and do a quote, because don't forget, I'm on this side and I'm on this side.
You want your free quote, right?
Yep, you want a free quote. But the person who gives you the job, they've got to pay for them free quotes as well.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't survive. So it is really a mismatch in that kind of environment, because you're trying to earn as much money, they're trying to pay you least money.
Yeah.
Now, because of Facebook and social media, we roughly know, yeah, what you should pay a contractor to do a job. And the contractor knows that. So you contractors are starting to stick together and go, well, that's the price we should all be charging. You know that's happening. Yeah. Yeah. So now there is real.
So now you've got you've got landlords and you've got contractors.
But not just Mr. Joe Public as well. In the same scenario. And there are good and bad builders. And you get some good and bad landlords. Like, they don't want to pay the bill. They'll find a fault with anything. Yes? Now the builder is thinking, I might not get paid here. So if a builder's been stung once, he's going to ask for a lot of money up front, because he doesn't want to get stung again.
Yeah.
Now, on the same token, you've got the tenant, you've got the landlord that's had work done, and it's been done to such a poor standard, and they've paid for it, and they don't want to pay.
They've got no recourse once they're paid for it.
Nope. And unless you all end up in court.
So the landlords that come to you, putting on your LMPG MD hat right now, landlords that come to you, what really frustrates them? What gets them really angry? What are they upset about in terms of their day to day?
Let me get a list.
All right, let's do a list. Like, this is what this is all about. Well, why are
they're not used to dealing with the trade counters. That's probably the biggest one. They're not, and again, because of our pricing matrix, some of the branches in, not just with X company, but with Y company as well, think, how are they getting that price? Because they don't see the bigger picture behind how many members we've got.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the contractor gets annoyed because he can't make his margin on the product. So that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of that. So. But what we are finding, it takes time. Now, the members couldn't spend nearly £12 million if you lot wouldn't fit that product, or they couldn't buy it. So it's about time, isn't it? It's about you getting used to LMPG. The contractors getting used to. A lot of contractors now, a lot of people have picked up LMPG. And that relationship does work. You still get sometimes pushback, oh, I'm not fitting an LMPG boiler. It's not an LMPG boiler. But you know what? The amount of LMPG boilers that have been brought that I get accused of buying, I haven't got a clue. Do you know members now actually go into a plumbing merchant and say, can I have an LMPG boiler? I'd be sitting in Barbados on a beach. That I brought.
Cocktails.
Yes. So it's about them getting used to each other, and it is happening.
Why do you think that contractors, and I'm going to ask you this honestly because I know why from my end, why do you think contractors are by reputation so expensive? What causes them for their price point to be where it is as opposed to where your landlords think it should be?
You really don't want me to answer
I want you to answer the question, tell me.
Okay, if a boiler swap that's been kind of rounded out in the marketplace, there's a price that where plumbers want to get to. I don't think £750 for a day's work is a reasonable, is too much of a higher price to pay. That's my own personal belief. That I'm a qualified carpenter. I went to college for 5 years to be a professional joiner, and I'm an engineer as well with that, so my qualifications are good. Just because you've got a gas safe certificate that says you've done a course and you can deal with gas, what makes you better qualified than me?
Okay, that's good.
Doesn't. So why should you charge £750 and I only charge like £350 a day?
Okay, that's the boiler swap is a very complicated one, in being that the perceived value of the labour, the perception of the labour. So for instance, I would never, talking from personal experience,
Yes.
I would never charge £400 to change a basin, let's say for instance, even if it took me all day.
Right, hold on. So because you're putting a bit, you think, perceived idea that it's a bigger job to Mr. Joe Public or the landlord, that you think you have the right to charge £750?
I think it's the associated costs. So for instance, let's say the time spent initially going to quote for the job, survey the job.
Oh, I totally understand that. I know, but you still got to do the same with the basin.
I know. It is, in talking honestly, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So let's have a fair earning, because you want to earn money, yeah. And I think that you need to be paid well, because if I don't pay you well, you won't come to my house. You won't do the gas safe certificate. I disagree with I know that landlords that pay £30, £40 for a gas safe certificate. I don't pay that. I think it's too cheap. They try to get it all done in a whole day, because you need to service the boiler. You need to make sure that that boiler is okay. You need to make sure that you've got chemicals in. That should be £65 minimum.
Smoke alarms, CO alarms, bonding,
Absolutely.
test, tightness test, burner pressure.
Yeah, I don't want just a certificate that says, oh, by the way. Yeah.
Anyone can sign one.
Yeah, to give it.
There you go, mate.
Yeah. So
looks safe to me.
Yeah, but you allow that. But you've still got to drive there.
How do you feel about call-out charges?
Yeah, see that again. From a selfish point of view, do I want to pay a call-out charge? No, I don't. Yeah, yeah. But if you go out and it's an hour there, and then you got to go and order a part, you've got to go and pick the part up, then yeah, you're going to have to, because we can't have our cake and eat it. It needs to be fair across the board. What I don't think it is that you make money, big money on the boiler swaps, yeah, to pay for people call-out. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think it should be level playing field across the day. And we're picking on plumbing because that's you.
Well, no, I know about it. That's why we're talking. But really, I want to know how you feel about it. I know how I feel about it. For me, it's very simple how I think about it. So, you know, I work out how much money I need to turn over,
Yep.
and then I work out what I need to charge,
Yep.
and that's how I do. That's how I work it out. But in terms of the call out charge, is interesting because you've just said you have to drive half an hour. Let's say half an hour. Let's just take it. You know, you get stuck in traffic, whatever. You've got to get there. You know, you might spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes inside the property. You might not do anything. You might just get there and go, yeah, it needs a new tap, love. Like, does that deserve the payment of a call-out charge, would you say? Or would you expect that to be not charged for?
Time, as I said earlier, people don't respect people's time. I don't. And please believe me, we all are so guilty of this. Nobody, yeah, the amount of free advice that we give here at MPG, I love it. I think it's brilliant. So don't anybody say to me, oh, but nobody respects that time.